A great and glorious good morning to you all from sunny El Dorado Hills, California. I'm in the El Dorado Hills Sports Club getting ready to run a session. So let's get started. Hopefully some of you will chime in and you can have a little Q&A with me. We'll see if I can answer it. Extrinsic constraints are profound today. Back and leg pain, 9 out of 10. Sciatica. Didn't sleep very well. Low energy. But let's check out my mood, baby. All right, here we go. Let's get this bad boy started. Double tap. Initializing my Z-Amp. Loading the media. You won't be able to hear the sound, but I do have a link that I provided in an earlier post. So what you're seeing is the matrix mirror, the spectra on the left, the targets, top 20 time dash frequency envelopes with the target lines are white, and when you see them move outside the box and turn orange-brown, that gives an indication that an interrupt, which is feedback or a pause in the audio stream, may be triggered. Now that's based on AutoNav. Happy to explain that for anybody who has a question on it. And if you want a detailed document on what goes on in a neurooptimal session, hit me up and I'll provide that to you. So you saw a little bit of a target, orange-brown. And I did get an interrupt at that time. There's another one. You can't hear it, but all right, let's get my noggin on here. So remember, this is training, not treatment. And my showing of the matrix mirror, please keep in mind that it is only a visual display depicting a very complex and fascinating process that goes on behind the scenes. And this is not to be used to determine session efficacy or wonder what's going on with my spectra on the left-hand side, so on and so forth. Again, we're looking at, let me show you. We're looking at essentially a two-dimensional representation of a four-dimensional process. EEG is not a sine wave. Brains don't wave is one of our favorite expressions. EEG is a phasor, like a corkscrew traveling. And human EEG is extremely chaotic. Seeing some really good target movements, though. So what Neurooptimal does is it uses the language of the brain in terms of the mathematics that are used. Joint time dash frequency analysis, which allows you to measure EEG exactly and in novel ways as that four-dimensional phasor. And nonlinear dynamical systems control process mathematics, which allows for the detection of flutter in the electrical stream. My last video, I described that. I'll go over it briefly. Flutter is essentially, you want to think about it like when you're watching a hummingbird and you're listening to a hummingbird, and as it just before it darts away, you hear the flutter. And flutter in the EEG is essentially just like that, except for, it's electrical activity that flutters. And that precedes, and that's important, precedes a change in phase state. So flutter, we don't look at it as good or bad. Flutter happens all the time in our brains, in the electrical activity. For example, I mentioned in the last video, as you're awake and just before you start to nod off, listening to this Facebook Live, and just before that, there's a flutter in the electrical activity. And when an interrupt occurs in response to flutter across the 20 time dash frequency envelopes that Neuroptimal uses, it provides the orienting response to the brain that it's just about to do something. And that gives the brain, for the very first time, if it's your first Neuroptimal session, the opportunity to notice that relevant information, and it causes the orienting response to it. And it's like, So the brain is the decider of everything for us, unconsciously. And it decides to take in, when it takes in relevant information, relevant to it, and in this case, it's its own electrical activity, then it makes a decision on what to do or not to do with that information. And all in the context of minimizing discomfort to it. All caps, I like to put it. Kind of a reference to A Wrinkle in Time and it. Only our it is benevolent. And so the brain is about survival. It's not about conscious thrival. It's about keeping us alive. And those comprehensive behavioral repertoire or patterns that it learned long ago or short time ago or whatever, in order to keep us safe and survive, when they no longer serve us, this opportunity through a Neuroptimal training session provides that information so that it can make that decision whether to continue with the change in state or reorganize and move back to where it was. Going back to the sleep analogy, if I'm lying in bed, the brain's going to go, let's go to sleep, baby, and continue with that. If we're on the road, the brain's going to say, whoa, wait a minute, you got to wake up. So I hope that offers a good explanation for you. By the way, my mood is fantastic. My pain, not so much. My energy level's kicking up a little bit. Maybe due to my session and trying to explain things. So I don't think anybody's in here. I'll wax, I guess, philosophically. This is just wonderful. I'm listening to the default audio, the music for NO3, which is created by Grammy award-winning producer-composer Jeff Bova. It's fantastic. Now, music's subjective and some people don't particularly care for it. I've heard that. I love it. All of the music for Neuroptimal was created by Jeff Bova in collaboration with our developers. So there's a purpose for it. We always say, when in doubt, default it out, meaning regular sessions with default music, because that's where all the data resides in terms of the sweet spot for sessions. There's a purpose behind it. But you can use any music or video that you like, and you can change the defaults music for a session, so you don't have to stop and pick it up. And I can provide a document. It's kind of a little convoluted process, but I've got a document that explains how to change that default music. So you just go right into or audio or video, and it's just a really fantastic system. I'll tell you a little story. My mom, may she rest in peace. Sorry. I get a little emotional. The last years of her life were the greatest years of her life. Now, my mom, full-blooded Italian, 4 boys, raised us pretty much on her own. A lot of responsibility. She used to say, I don't want any more responsibility. But the last 4 years of her life were the greatest. And guess what, folks? Anecdotal, of course, but I trained her almost daily. She had well over 100 sessions. And she was able, I can't talk about the medical diagnoses because we're FDA designated as a general wellness device, and in Health Canada, we can make even less claims. But she had some profound issues. When, don't you ever put me in a nursing home, is what she always said. Well, she was at the Pines in Placerville. And I used to get 2 a.m., 3 a.m., almost daily, sometimes during the day, calls asking me to help with my mom because she was driving them crazy. And over the course of time through training, she just became her delightful, natural, resilient, and flexible self that I never saw before. It was such a healing experience for both of us. And anyway, getting back to what she liked to listen to. She's into opera, and especially the 3 tenors. So I got the 3 tenors videos and loaded them as defaults in Neuroptimal. And this started off in version 2. And oh my God, she blossomed. And I have video of it. Some of you may have seen it. And she just loved every minute. Now, the beauty of Neuroptimal, and all neurofeedback, I'm a big fan of neurofeedback, okay? The beauty of Neuroptimal, though, is it's not task-oriented at all. All you got to do is sit and listen. I sleep during many of my sessions. Hopefully I don't go to sleep in this live video. But she would kind of move and dance. Now, gentle movement is okay with Neuroptimal because of the mathematics we're using. It allows for the recognition of non-human EEG. In the case of muscle movement, that's EMG. And that's, instead of chaotic, it has these little plateaus, all right? So Neuroptimal can recognize that and exclude it from training. Now, we don't want to be doing jumping jacks and cartwheels during an Neuroptimal session because you could flood the sensors and sensors will pop off and so on and so forth. But it also recognizes the non-human electromagnetic frequencies of, our electrical mains current, 60 hertz in the US, 50 hertz in Europe and elsewhere. And that's very sinusoidal, not chaotic. Sorry, I use my hands, I'm half Italian. And it can exclude that from training. That includes Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, static electricity that's in the air. And, but anyway, she just blossomed. It was such a healing experience for me. So, hello, Kathy. I can see you're watching. I miss you. Long time no, right? Let me know if you have any questions. I have the option of bringing you on video, but I won't do that. I won't put you on the spot. But it's wonderful to know that you're here and you're listening. If you want to pop a comment, or there might be a way to do I've set it for Q&A. I'm not sure if that's through the comments or what, but question, please feel free to do so. Let me show you my Z-Amp. Pop the wrong button. So this is the Z-Amp. In neurofeedback amplifiers, what they do is connected to the sensors. We're reading sensors at the, I don't think you can see them, but anyway, there are two active sensors at what we call C3 and C4. They're yellow. And I have a reference sensor on my left earlobe, that's blue, and a reference sensor on my right earlobe, that's blue, and then you see the black ground. Now, in measuring electrical activity, just like a battery, you need a positive and a negative pole. So we have the active sensor and the reference sensors are electrically neutral. So there's a subtraction of that signal that allows you to measure it. Because without the reference, without both sides of the battery, you're measuring nothing. And then what the black ground sensor does is called common mode rejection, fancy pants gangster boy term, for essentially denoising, picking up all the electrical activity. It's the first pass at denoising. So that's extremely important. And then we get to the amplifier, which amplifies the signal, because we're talking microvolts here, okay? Teeny tiny. So it amplifies it. It digitizes it, takes it from analog to digital, and then passes it off to the system to do, don't want that in the way, it's magic. And so it's a really remarkable process. And I hope I'm explaining correctly. Hi, Jane Martin. It's good to see you. I miss you. I hope I'm explaining things well. As I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you got it, but I'm having some pretty difficult extrinsic constraints to training. Pain in my lower back and sciatica on the leg. 9 out of 10. Difficulty sleeping, so I'm not getting great sleep. It's really hard to find a comfortable position to sleep, to sit, stand, so on and so forth. And my energy level is picking up, but oh my God, my mood is raring to go. And hopefully I'm making some sense here, So anyway, I'm gonna see if maybe you have questions, comments. I'll let you take a look at my matrix mirror for a while. And remember, I've got a video in an earlier post, a link to a video that offers you the audio and interrupts that you would hear during an optimal session. And I've got more of a in the description and explanation of some things. So I'm going to focus on the targets. So what you see is the 20 time dash frequency envelopes. Now, looking at these, you see them as rectangles. But again, this is a four-dimensional process. So in reality, they're four-dimensional hypercubes. Oh, you see really good movement in the orange-brown. I'm getting some targets triggered. I'm hearing some interrupts. Not all targets triggered displayed here will provide an interrupt because of AutoNav, which is our intelligent way of comprehensively and adaptively moving through each and every moment of the session and adjusting the difficulty level in terms of what's triggered and so on and so forth. I can provide a detailed explanation of that in a document. If you hit me up, I'll provide that. It's everything I know about Neuroptimal. And what my role here as community education coordinator and my personal quest is to demystify this process. No one knows what it does. No one knows how it works. Well, I'm doing my very best to explain that. And Mom used to say, and again, sorry, I get emotional. I miss her. But she used to say she wanted me to spread the word about her sessions, and we did all these videos where she was telling people, you gotta try this, do it. It works. Don't be afraid. You know, so in her loving memory, I'm paying it forward, Mom. Anyway, all right, I got to get off that nonsense. So again, you're seeing the movement of the time-dash frequency envelopes. And, you know, some people say, well, I'm not seeing it much. Well, remember, this is only a visual display, okay? It's not to be used to determine session efficacy. Remember, it's way more complex than this. We're talking 4 dimensions here. I'm thinking of the 5th dimension, Age of Aquarius. Yeah, I go off on tangents. But anyway, again, don't try to look at this to determine, oh, what's going on? Why am I not seeing movement? Or I'm seeing a lot of movement. You know, this is just our brain doing its dance with Neuroptimal. And we're offering this visual display. And then you can see the spectra. Don't worry about the spectra. Oh my God, why is there so much amplitude, or the lines, the bars so big down in that 0 area frequency? Well, what's going on there is, again, remember, we're surrounded by EMF. We're surrounded by static electricity, electrical mains currents, 60 hertz, 50 hertz in Canada and elsewhere. We're surrounded by Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And what that is just showing is a depiction of that. Now remember, it doesn't matter for training because it's excluded from training. So, I hope that explains it. How we doing? Anybody watching it? Still watching? I get a lot of crickets in reply to my post, or not reply. Yeah, I know people see what I post. I can tell. And I have my little free shrugs meme with a caricature of me and Arya, Princess Arya, the Belgian Malinois, that I use humorously. You know, hey, it's okay, we don't bite. Even if you were critiquing me, I want to hear it. Your opinion's important. There are no dumb questions. I can give you a dumb answer. But there are no dumb questions. So, got about 10 minutes left. A little over 10 minutes. This is Mission Control. We have T-minus 10 minutes and 41 seconds left in this live broadcast and this session on Neuroptimal. We have a Facebook group. It's called Discover Neuroptimal. It's open. While it's private, all you got to do is request to join. And guys, there's no selling there. It's just telling. It's helping you to make a decision on whether you want to give it a try or you want to try something else. You know, this is a client-directed process. And don't let anyone tell you differently. Don't let anyone force you to do anything or try to cajole you into doing anything or try to sell you a pack. I know I'm not in a quiet spot, unfortunately. I'm upstairs and there's a lot of noise. Let's see if I can reduce background noise and enhance my voice. Jane, let me know if this is better. I just reduced the background noise and the enhanced my audio. But here's the beauty of Neuroptimal. It doesn't matter if I'm not in a quiet spot, at least as far as training for me. Now, it might be not so copacetic for y'all listening to me. But again, getting back to it, client directed, you make the choice. You decide whether or not to train. You decide at what frequency. And you have to base it on your gut. If you're training and it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Follow your gut. If you're training and you're like me, you want to become a junkie, go for it. I cannot overtrain. Now, there are individual differences, situations, and responses. But folks, I train more than anybody. I'll bet you bottom dollar on that. And it has helped me immensely in so many ways. Now, it's not a panacea. It's helping me to deal with the current pain and being tired and not resting better. But I don't notice it reducing the pain. I wish it did. I need a wave of a magic wand on that bad boy. So, anyway, where was I? I'm going to be 63 on May 23rd, gang. 63. My God, I'm 17 up here. You know, I've had some great success in my previous careers. Tremendous success. I'm going to brag. You know, I was at the Environmental Health Department in Yolo County, and I moved my way up the ladder from a trainee to a registered environmental health specialist, to a certified hazardous materials specialist, to the senior housing inspector, to the landfill inspector. I got UC Davis's landfill permitted with the magnificent help of Joe Stagner and the people at the then California Integrated Waste Management Board. And it hadn't been permitted or had an updated permit in 10, 15 years. And it was controversial. So that was a big feather in my cap. And I was well respected with the folks at the state and what we called the local enforcement agency colleagues of mine in the county. And then I moved on to the district attorney's office, Yolo County District Attorney's Office, as an environmental crime investigator in the Special Services Unit. And my best buddy, Colin, helped me figure that out. Colin, you're not watching, but I'll let you know I put a plug in for you. Amazing guy. Mark Jones, oh my God, what a wonderful boss. Pete Martin. Jane, if you're still there, I love me some PKM because he took care of me. Anyway, I was the Barney Fife of the department. I can't stand guns. You know, and then the Special Services Unit disbanded and they put me in welfare fraud. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. That's like doing the housing inspections. And so I finagled with Pete and Mark. At the time we had Craig Kemp Basham was our IT guy. Wonderful guy. He passed. He got fed up. We moved the office and he got fed up and left. And my degree is in biology. Okay. It's not in IT, but I was toying with, and probably one of the reasons my marriage didn't last, because I was spending a lot of money at Fry's, you know, buying computer parts and whatnot and building them. Anyway, when Craig left, I had been helping him set up computers and get people going as we were transitioning and moving. So I said to Pete and Mark, I said, can I try the IT job? Will you help me with that? And Dave Henderson was the DA at the time. Oh, God, I love Dave Henderson, but I don't understand him. He mumbles. Big burly man, burly voice. So they convinced him to give me a try. And I got in. I slid into the IT job. One of the first things I did, this is a great story, I was rebuilding his computer. And you had to change out the hard drive, so on and so forth. And they used WordPerfect back in the day. A legal standard, right? And it had multiple forms directories. And Dave was an active district attorney. He charged every case. So I'm rebuilding his computer after work because, you know, I don't want to disrupt him. And doggone it, I couldn't get it to work. I spent the night in his office, taking a nap on the floor, you know, here and there and everything, and just sweating bullets the whole time. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And I couldn't just put him back on his old computer at that point. I finally got it, like just before 7 a.m. And oh, what relief. And so I went home, I took a shower, took a quick nap. A couple hours later, I come into the office and Pete and Mark greet me. And they say, "Don't go near Dave." Why? What happened? Well, he had charged all the cases, had his morning meeting with the deputy district attorneys, passing out all the complaints, right? And Kelly Brooksby, God bless her, I love her, I miss her so much. She chimes in, "It's the wrong address." I had pointed him to the wrong forms directory in WordPerfect. Now, he stormed out of that office, kicked the door, blasted a hole in the wall. And there is, or was, a little plaque after they fixed it in honor of that. And so I went up into Dave's office, and I swear to you, I was on my hands and knees. On my hands and knees, begging for forgiveness. And he took pity on me. He didn't fire me. I pointed him the right forms directory. I said, "I'll do your complaints for you, Dave. I'll do whatever you need." And but that was that was my great story. Anyway, long story made short, I was talking about how great I am. Fancy pants gangster boy with awards and whatnot. In that IT position, I won multiple awards. I won the department awards for professional staff, support staff of the year, manager of the year, and then I won 2 Spirit Awards at the county level. The first was for Law Suite, the application. It was a team award because it was a team process, although the deputy chief probation officer at the time came up to me and said, "This should have been yours," because I was the driving force for it all. And then just prior to resigning, I was granted the Innovation Award, Spirit Award. So anyway, long story made short, I've had some great success. I've had some magnum opus moments that I thought, nothing compared to where I'm at now. 63 years old, May 23rd, and my mind is sharp as a tack and working better than ever. And what do I attribute it to? My brain and its dance with Neuroptimal. So with that, I've got a little over a minute left. And I hope those of you that saw this found it helpful. Those of you that may see it find it helpful. It's kind of hard to find these after live Facebook videos, but I'll do my best to link it. And I just want you all to be well, be blessed, find your passion, find what works for you, whether it's Neuroptimal or something else. Vital Neuro, Alex Doman's product, I'm extremely interested in that and want to learn as much as I can. I got a webinar coming up on May 20th with him and his father. I think it's Bob Doman. And I hope I pronounced your last name properly. But, find your passion. Find what works for you. Never give up. Never. Session's winding down. God bless. Be well and be happy. Cheers until next time.